Back in November 2021, Bubble released the beta of a new responsive engine, basically changing how you would go about structuring your app in the UI builder. To illustrate some of the benefits and also some of the drawbacks, I'm going to be demonstrating in this video how to recreate this layout here of a registration form in a page using the responsive beta engine. So let me create a new page. And once it loads, I'll convert that to the new engine. So one of the key differences is the use of containers, which for the purpose of Bubble is using groups. Elements are placed inside of groups in order to assign like a common layout characteristic. The new response engine is much closer to like traditional CSS web design because it uses Flexbox. So if you've used something like Webflow in the past, you might find that actually the new responsive engine is much closer to what you're familiar with. So let's build up these elements. We need to go to beta. Let's make it, it's going to be a row because I'm containing 2 columns. And let's make it a little bit wider. And then let's put the first, I'll make it a little bit higher as well. Oops, I'm at 900. And let's put the first of our columns in. And so this is going to contain a series of columns because I'm going to be putting multiple rows in, and the max width is going to be 50, and that's a fixed height because it's always going to be 50% of this page no matter how much you resize it. A fixed width rather. Talking about height, I'm going to make height 100%. And then I can just duplicate that, and now I have my 2 columns. So let's just go back and get the color of my blue. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Okay, and remember I said we need to basically contain things in a container, and if we can't get the layout that we're hoping for, it probably needs an extra container, and you'll see what I mean as I start building this. So this is going to be, I'll just call this form body, and because you're using containers within containers, even more so than the current or traditional UI builder, it really helps to start labeling your items. So we're going to make this a fixed width, and I'm going to just match it to this, whatever this was. We'll call it 340. Okay. And then I'm actually going to change this to align to parent because it will allow me to attach it to this edge, because what I want is I want half my screen to be white and then half my screen to be blue, and then I just need to indent this a bit, so I'm going to apply some padding. So the difference between margins and padding is margins applied to the outside of an object, whereas padding applies to the inside. So looking at this left column, I'm going to apply padding to the right side of 80. And now I can start building up my form. So let's go back to here. And I'm just going to copy and paste into there. This is going to be a layout type column because I want my items to be one on top of another. In fact, let's do that first. I'll just make that a little bit smaller. Here we go, because that will illustrate for us nicely. Okay, so first thing to debug here is I want this to be on top, And then this has got some enormous height, it would seem. Fit height to content. There we go. It's because I've copied and pasted it from the old engine to the new engine. Just often needs a bit of tidying up here. And then let's bring over our name field. Okay, it looks like face exactly the same. Oh, this time around, it's not giving me the option. Okay, maybe that's a bug. Maybe Bobble hasn't fully built in the ability to copy and paste across. So we'll build it manually. Here's going to be my name field, the label rather. Oh, it's got very buggy. Let's give that a refresh. I'm not getting the layout option at all now. Let's refresh it. And the layout option is back. Okay, but we'll work with this. So for my labels, I like to set no min height and then set to fit height to content. That way I can just use margins in order to get a nice uniformed gap and layout. Okay, height, yeah, 54 is good. Fixed width, I'm going to make this 100% because I want it to be the full width of its parent container, which is this. I'm then going to group these so that I can get a nice uniformed gap in between each. So I'm going to have multiple versions of this. Let's put those in there. And I want to have a nice gap between each one. So what's gone on here? Let's have a look in the visual elements tree. I think I've put items in. Yes, here we go. I accidentally put group F into group E. There we go. So I have each of these contains a form field. And I'm using shift, I'm selecting more than one. And then I'm putting these, it's groups within groups, these in a column. And what this allows me to do is to specify gap. And so now I get a nice uniform gap between each item. So what are we missing from the form? We're going to skip gender because that's just a drop down box. That's illustrated in another tutorial. I'm just going to go with email and password instead. So your email, your password, and then to really tidy this up, we will add a bottom margin onto there. And last but not least, we need a button. Okay, as you can see, the button's not gone where I intended it to go. So I'm going to use the elements tree here to drag it in to the right section. Sometimes it's easier to drag it in above and then just make it last. There we go. So I've not put the button in group G because I don't want to apply the 20 pixel gap. I'm just going to give the button its own margin, and I am also going to align the button to the right. There we go, and make it a fixed height. Just rename it. Okay, and let's have a look at that in the preview. Okay, so you can see that by using align to parent, I make sure that this box here is snapped to the right, but with the padding that's applied here, so that I can resize, and each column remains 50%. And I get that nice split view effect, which is quite common in SaaS products at the moment.